Hello everyone, I am Holly Gramlich and welcome to Miss Holly Violin. Today we're going to be talking about how to tune your violin. This video is aimed mostly at beginning and intermediate students, and I plan to make an advanced tuning video in the future. So if you're interested in these topics, go ahead, click the like button and subscribe. So tuning is important because if your violin strings are not in tune when you play, it's not going to sound quite right. The pitches that are coming out of your instrument, even if you're putting your finger on the right spot in the fingerboard, might just not sound right. It might sound out of tune. So tuning is really important to do, and it's important that you tune your violin often. You should be tuning your violin every time that you take it out of your case. So for every practice session, always start by tuning your violin. Sometimes when I'm practicing at home, I might even tune my violin multiple times a practice session if I think that my violin has not stayed in tune while I've been playing. So this is something you should be doing regularly. And it's something I often do for my beginning students, especially if they've just started playing. I do try and get my students learning how to tune as soon as I can, but it does take, you do have to be careful when you're tuning. It does take a little finesse, and you have to just make sure that you're doing it properly so that you don't snap a string or end up with some other undesired results. So anyway, I'm going to walk you through how you can tune at home without your teacher. So you're going to need a tuner of some kind. I have the Korg TM60 tuner. This is not only a tuner, it has a tuner function over here, and it also has a metronome function. It's pretty much the same thing as the Korg TM50, which was an older model of this. So if you are looking for a tuner in metronome, this is what I recommend to all of my students. It has everything you'll ever need in a tuner and the metronome. So if you don't have one of these, this is okay. You can use a tuning app to tune your violin as well. The Korg TM60 is nice because even though you can get most of the tuning functions on a tuning app, the metronome functions, most free metronome apps, they don't have all the functions this has. So that's why I recommend this one. And like I said, it's the only tuner metronome you'll ever need, for your own personal practice. That being said, it can be a little bit intimidating at first for students. So they'll see all these buttons and not know what they do. So I'm going to walk you through the tuning part of this today. Like I said, if you don't have a Korg tuner, you can also use an app. One that I like is called the Gstrings app, and I believe that's free for Android and Apple, so I can link that down below if you like. But anyway, let's get into tuning. So I've turned on the tuner. There's a tuner on button over here, and it has the backlight on just so you can see what's going on here. There's these buttons on the side that say Calib Note, and then down here this is sound or sound back, and then it shows you where the microphone is down here. So there are two ways that I'm going to talk about tuning here. One is tuning by ear, which is what I actually recommend all my students try to do, because this will help you develop your ear skills. Those listening skills and being able to listen to something, to a reference pitch, and then listen to another pitch and say, are they in tune, or no, this one's sharp, or this one's flat, is a really important skill that all musicians need to develop. So this is how I encourage my students to approach tuning, as first by listening and thinking, is it right? And then they can check themselves with the microphone function. So let's practice this listening and assessing first. So to do that, we're going to press the sound button. And usually the standard, when you press it, the note that usually comes up will be A. If it's not A, you're going to have to change it by using the up and down arrow. So let's just see if it's A. Yep, it's A, and you'll notice it says A4. So I'll turn that off for a second. And that 4 is really important. I'll write in the description below the numbers that need to be next to each note for the strings. But just briefly, if you're tuning your A string, it has to be A4. The D string has to be D4. The G string has to be G3, and the E string has to be E5. So if you press the up arrow, you're going to get up to the higher number, and that's really important. So first, let's listen to A. And then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to try and sing that note, if possible, and match the pitch of the tuner. This will help get your ear warmed up and get you thinking, am I in tune with a tuner? So if I sing A, okay, it's kind of there. But now I'll turn that off, and let's pluck my A string. I think it's pretty close. And you can do this while the sound is going. So it's pretty close. Now, if I wasn't sure, okay, is this really in tune? I'm not sure. It's very close. So I'm going to check now with the microphone function. As you can see here, there's like a little arrow that's moving around, and it's picking up my voice talking here, and it's saying I'm talking a pitch of a G sharp right now. So if the arrow, when the tuner listens to you, it's going to have a note here. It's going to say what the note is that it's picking up, and then if the arrow or the little dial lines right up with that middle arrow, it means it's in tune. And you'll also see a green light up right here. Now, if the little dial is pointing this way, and this is lighting up over here, that means it's too high, and you'll notice there's a little symbol over here. Looks like a hashtag. It's a sharp symbol. So that means it's sharp or too high. Now, if the other side lights up, that's our symbol for flat, and that means it's too low, so that you have to make the pitch higher to make it in tune. So let's talk about how that works. If you look on my violin, down here, this is the tail piece, and I have one fine tuner. Most student violins actually have a fine tuner for all 4 strings. So if you have to do a small tuning adjustment, you're going to use a fine tuner. And if you have to do a big tuning adjustment, you're going to use the pegs. Now, if I were to play with my microphone listening, and I play my E string, let's say for demonstration's sake, I'm going to play my E string here. Okay, so I have my tuner down here, and you can't see it now, but it was telling me the little arrow was pointing over here. It was saying it was too sharp, and this button was lighting up. So that means I have to make the pitch lower for it to be in tune, because it was too high. So with my fine tuner, to make the pitch lower, I have to turn it to the left or counterclockwise to make it lower. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn the fine tuner, and then I'm going to check it. Okay, and it's saying that it's pretty much in tune, maybe still a little high. So I'm going to dial it back just a little bit more to the left. Okay, and now it's saying it's in tune. And of course, before you use the microphone, I would suggest that you listen to each pitch and see if you can tell. Now, so that is how to tune with the fine tuner. So it was too high, so we moved it to the left. If the pitch were too low or flat, we would have to move it to the right. So that's how to tune with the fine tuners. Now, say my violin was quite out of tune, and I'm going to play my G string here. Okay, my tuner is saying it's pretty much in tune. It's a little low, but pretend I'm going to just make my G string even lower here. Oh wow, now I'm playing my G string, and looking at the tuner, it's telling me it's not even picking up the note G, it's picking up the note F sharp, which is a note lower than G. So that's really low. If I had a fine tuner for my G string, I might be able to get it in tune using it, but I would have to turn it to the right a lot. And if you turn your fine tuners too much, they have like these little levers or screws on the bottom underneath the tailpiece. And you can't really see my E string one very well because it's right up against the tailpiece, but basically you could have the screw or lever come down so far that it would start burrowing into the wood of the instrument, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to make a scratch on your instrument. A lot of the fine tuners will stop before they ever get to that point, but that's something to be aware of. So sometimes you might screw your fine tuner because in this case I need to make it the pitch higher. It's way, way, way low. So I would tune or turn the tuner to the right, but there'll be a point where I can't turn it anymore. And at that point, I have to use the peg. So I know, because this isn't even picking up the note G, that it's so far off that I'm going to have to use the peg. So that's kind of a good guideline. If your violin isn't even like playing the right note, if it's like F when it should be G, then you have to use the peg. So with the pegs, you need to be careful though, because just a small movement makes a very big change. And especially with the higher strings, the A and the E string, those strings are so high tension already that if you make the pitch a lot higher than it's meant to be, it could even snap the string. So you have to be very careful. As you make a pitch higher, as you make a string higher, you're making the string more high tension. So that's good to know when you're looking at the pegs here. So the higher tension the string is, the higher the likelihood of it snapping. And these higher strings that are high tension are so thin anyway. That's why those are the ones that are most likely to snap. Alright, so we're working with our G string down here though. So when you're turning the peg, you have to make sure that you're turning the right peg, that it's the one that lines up with the string. So I'm going to follow with my finger the G string, and I'm going to follow it back, and it winds around this peg right here, this one. So I can see that. If you look at the peg box, follow it back, it's that first peg right here. Now, it's too low. It's a step too low. So I have to make the G string higher, and like I said, when you're making a string higher, you're tightening it basically. So you can see how the string is wound over this way. So I have to turn the peg away from me to make the pitch higher. So that's what I'm going to do. But the other thing you need to know is that when you turn the peg, you're not only going to turn it away this way, like that, to make it higher. You also have to push in the peg into the peg box as you turn. If you don't do that, what will often happen is that your string will slip and it won't stay. And this is like a really common complaint a lot of beginners have if they're trying to tune their violin. They're like, I tried to tune the peg and it just wouldn't stay. So make sure that you're turning the peg like you're turning it, but you're also pushing into the peg box to help that peg stay when you tune it. And that's true when you're making the note higher or lower. So make sure you're always pushing in as well. Alright, so let's try, here's my G is way low. My tuner is picking up F sharp. So I'm going to push in while I turn this way, because it's going to make the string tighter. Ooh, it's a little stiff. Sometimes it can get a little stiff. Okay, I think I turned it a little bit, and just turn it as little as you can and then check it. Okay, it's closer. It's so my tuner was reading G this time, but it's still showing it's quite low. So I'm going to use the peg just a little bit more. Okay, wow, and that was lucky because now it's right in tune. So make sure you push in and turn. And it's also lucky for me because I don't have any fine tuners, so I have to use my peg to tune my G, D, and A strings anyway. I'm going to check it, and it looks good on my tuner. That arrow is right in the middle, and it's lighting up that green light, so that tells me it's in tune. Okay, so that is how to tune your violin. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. This can be a pretty tricky process for beginners, and if you're a parent and you don't know much about violins, this can be tricky and maybe intimidating. If your child is a beginner or they're under the age of like 10 or 12, I would suggest as the parent that you at least supervise them, if not do it for them themselves, depending on the child's ability. But yeah, like I said, tuning can be a little bit tricky, but just go slowly first. If you can, listen to the pitch so you can work on those ear skills, and then if you're unsure or you need to check to make sure that it's in tune, then use the microphone function on your tuner. There is a microphone function on the Gstrings app as well, and if your string is really out of tune, it's not even showing the right note, you're going to have to use the pegs. But when you use the pegs, remember to push in and turn, and only do it just a little bit each time, and check the pitch as you go. Don't turn it 2-3 times and not check it. Make sure you're checking it after every little turn. Alright, I hope that helps. So yeah, I hope to put out some more videos soon on violin and all the little things that go with it, tuning, changing strings. That's a video I might be doing soon here. So if there's anything that you want to see that I haven't talked about, leave me a comment below, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!